variety of really cool chemicals in our body. But serotonin is also cool. So serotonin decreased levels lead to depression, suicidal behavior. So this is serotonin. Prozac, the medication Prozac, blocks the reuptake of serotonin to allow it to have more time to go to its receptor. So it remains in the synapse longer to bind. So we talked about earlier that medications become very interesting in this area, and this is an example of that. How it's like a magic bullet. I'll tell you that. All right, norepinephrine. Again, somewhat like we talked about acetylcholine and dopamine. Norepinephrine increases attention to sensory information, surveillance of surroundings. So, essential for the fight or flight. So think about that. And we've had some interesting fight or flight stuff in our neighborhood recently. I told you about the car in our front yard, right? So then, gosh, that was just yesterday. What is today? No, it was Tuesday afternoon. I was going to the store it was a kind of an impromptu last minute. I got to run to the store and get something in. I was getting up to the stop sign, just like a few, like a half a block from my house. And I looked in my rearview mirror and I saw a man walking his dog, and all of a sudden he was looking kind of funny, and I'm like, that's our neighbor. I know who that is. And it was the strangest. I couldn't quite put it together because I haven't known him as a person with any medical issues. And so he was kind of standing there, and I thought, he just like couldn't figure it out. And then I saw him collapse. And so we had 911 come out, and I was adrenalized. But what happens is the fight or flight focus. The norepinephrine is one of those things. It's one of those. There's an emergency, and I got to focus right now. And so, second time in a month that I've called 911, and I haven't called 911. I'm not sure in my lifetime. So he's fine. He's fine. Well, he's not fine. He's in the hospital, but he passed out. He came up. He came to, and emergency people got there. I kind of started understanding why emergency medical people do what they do, because there's kind of a rush that goes with that. But I'm still thinking about it. So to let go of it, whew, it's hard. All right, overactivity of norepinephrine, where you're reeling in fight or flight, but you're sitting in a chair because you're nervous about something. There's some panic, fear, panic attacks, anxiety disorders. So this is there's some really interesting literature on this topic, because this fight or flight response historically is set up really for fight or flight, where you use that buildup of this energy. And nowadays we might get panicked because of a test coming up, or because the boss has a deadline, and or there's some stress in our lives, and we keep breathing up here and not getting that nice belly breath, and we get the sympathetic system, system going, and not the parasympathetic system that calms us down. And so as a result, we get norepinephrine just going through our bodies. So that's why that breathing is one of the most important things we can do to calm down into the parasympathetic and chill out from this place. Erica?
Is the focus from norepinephrine just a greater degree of the attention and alertness from serotonin?
We're isolating this right now, and so it's a different. Serotonin is one of those things that is more at a constant level of versus norepinephrine is more of the when it's stimulated, exactly that rush. Exactly. Now that's stereotyping both of those, and a good way to separate them right now, to say that norepinephrine is one of those kind of rush in, do its job, and then it's going to rush out. Whereas serotonin, we kind of need a certain level of that going.
So, like, would this be considered a neuromodulator?
So it is in some. Is it a neuromodulator? Yes, it is.
Is it because it's released from the adrenal gland rather than like the neuron itself?
It can release in various, the chemicals can release in various ways, but yeah, this has a different pathway through the sympathetic system. But again, it's also going to react in other areas as a neuromodulator and have that G protein. So it's so hard to know where to cut this information off because it's so interesting, and it really is that. It's the pathway. What is the pathway? What's going on here? There are different pathways that create differences in these chemicals, and that's what I really want you to get, is that.
So as far as testing and
Yes.
technology goes, you have them classified as such in your notes?
Yes.
Should we just go off of that?
Yes.
And then just,
Exactly.
yeah, close the chapter.
And if you want to read more about it,
Right.
but I'm just giving you examples of how they respond.
So in the case of norepinephrine, it's a neuromodulator for attention, but it
For-
could play the other part somewhere.
Precisely.
Okay.
Precisely.
Good.
Micah, then we got it.
Yep, I was kind of looking online and it sounded like they do both, like a lot of them will do in different situations. So.
Exactly, and that's what I want you to know. And these are examples of how that works. Okay. All right, substance P is, and this is. Let me just double check. Yeah, I've got a picture I want to show you for substance P. That is on page 53. So substance P, neurotransmitter for the nociceptive pathway. From the periphery to the spinal cord and higher levels. We've talked just a little bit about that so far. We've certainly talked about the A deltas and C fiber pain information coming in. We've also talked about releasing chemicals from our brainstem to act as a descending control at the gate. So neurotransmitter in the nociceptive pathway, neuromodulator likely contributes to chronic pain syndromes in which innocuous stimulus is perceived as painful. And we have a whole section where we talk about chronic pain and where pain actually becomes, like the nervous system has gone awry. And this is one of those unfortunate situations where neuromodulation, of course, means that there's change that is either brief but longer than a millisecond, or can last for days of change. Long duration excitation of postsynaptic membranes that, for example, if a person were to rub on their skin, it would feel like there's a sunburn even though there's no sunburn.
Oh.
That kind of thing. Where something that should not feel painful becomes painful. And here's I was explaining to you earlier that some neurotransmitters just kind of escape into the extracellular fluid. And on page 53, you'll see that here with substance P, where simultaneously, this is co-transmission. This is a neurotransmitter, and you would recognize that, right? It's a neurotransmitter, boom, boom, boom. It's going right into its little receptor site. So the neurotransmitter, and then substance P here is a neuromodulator, and it's releasing right outside it's not even docking. It's not even following the rules. It's going out here, and then it's releasing into the extracellular. So when you see something like that, you're thinking, wow, that's kind of going all over the place.